I keep bumping these 4 buttons at the bottom of my Roku remote for services I don't even have, and I've never even used them. Not even once. Drives me crazy. My first thought was to crack open the case and cut the buttons out and cover the empty holes with tape, but I found a much more elegant solution that is spouse approved. It really is too bad that Roku didn't design something where you could actually user assign those buttons to services that you already have, but I get it. It's advertising and it's money for them to survive, but that doesn't mean that I have to suffer with it. All the different models of Roku have these buttons on them. Sometimes there's different services they offer on each one. So when we take it apart today, we'll be taking apart the 2025 current generation of Roku remote. I'm going to show you how to do that, and then I'm going to show you the secret to disabling the buttons. So it's going to be pretty cool. I'm going to live in bliss from now on. Okay, so the first step here is to try to get the backing off of this remote. Now I know there were some old remotes that had screws. We're going to take a look here, see if under the batteries there's any screws or anything. And there's actually no screws in this remote. So I'm going to have to struggle with this for a little bit. You can see some dirt there in the seam from being used for a little while. This actually might be a 2023 or 2024 remote, but it should be the same for all of them. So I'm going to try to pry it open and just get this to pry off and see what I can do here. It definitely is giving towards the top, but you can already see I'm dinging it right there. And the goal here is to take it apart without having it be seen. So when I get to the end here, I'll kind of show you what some lessons learned here. So be sure to watch to the end. And also make sure to like and subscribe while you're watching this, because that definitely helps me make more videos like this. It gives me fuel and energy to do it. And someday I might make a little money off of YouTube. But in the interim, here we are. So I have this. You can use a credit card, maybe not a credit card, but a used gift card or something here to kind of force your way in. A guitar pick. Yeah, this comes from a plastic automotive trim kit to help pull things like this apart, and automotive trim as well. So I am struggling here a little bit. I'm going to show the struggle a little bit as you see me just trying to figure out how to get into this case. And then I'll fast forward a little bit, show you a couple of the tips and tricks I learned along the way. And when I do my next one of these remotes, it'll be even better than the first one. So I am really having a hard time finding out where the seam is here. Oh, there we go. There we go. Look at that. All right. So trick number 1 that I'm going to tell you is, if you're taking apart your remote and following along, don't stick your thing in up by the buttons at the top of the remote. That's on the outside of this. Stick it in down on the bottom of the case, because the bottom of the case is covered behind the battery door. So if you do scuff it up there, it'll be scuffed up inside where the battery goes, and nobody will notice it. So you can see I'm making some pretty good progress here. I've got it cracked open on the bottom, but it just doesn't want to give. And I know there's some clips in here. I mean, if I did like 100 of these, I would know exactly where to push and where to pull it apart. But I don't have that. So there we go. There we go. Now we got some leverage on it. There we go. Listen to that. Now we're going around the buttons, so I want to be careful there. The side buttons, not the front buttons. Just see if this case will separate. There we go. So yeah, this will also serve as a what's inside video, because we're going to see what's inside a Roku remote. So the big lesson is you put your pry tools in at the edges of the battery compartment and not around the top or the buttons, because that's where you're going to get things dinged up. Like I'm doing it pretty gentle there, but when I started off, I did that. Yeah, look at that. I actually cracked a little piece of plastic in here. You can kind of see where I cracked it. But incidentally, these are the buttons that you push. So this is a great outcome. The top comes off and the buttons are hanging out below it. So that's fantastic news. So you can see these are little metal membranes that push onto a contact below it. So the goal is to pry that membrane up and put something between the contact and the little metal silver doohickey membrane. I'll see if I can get that up with my X-Acto knife. So you definitely need something sharper than a pry tool. Oh, and if I didn't mention it before, it's pretty obvious, but this is going to avoid any warranty you have. So do this at your own risk. Lack of skill, you might end up needing a whole new Roku, because I don't think you can get just a Roku remote. Maybe you can. But look at that. Here we are. So this is it. The whole secret sauce is here. These little silver buttons are just like a spring-loaded pop button. And you push it down, and it makes contact with the connectors down here below. And so each time you push the button, it makes contact. So if we cover the contacts and put the silver stuff over, the buttons will feel the same and act the same, but they just won't make contact, and the buttons will be disabled. It'll all be closed up, and nobody will ever be able to figure out why those 4 buttons don't work, especially if you don't mess the case up. Now, I'm not going to use gaffer tape or electrical tape here. You think I would on contacts. I'm going to use the cheapest, oldest masking tape known to mankind. And the reason I'm doing that is I just want it to be a thin profile that doesn't leave a lot of sticky residue. So if I ever want to take it off, I could probably clean it up with alcohol if I'm lucky. But I can't imagine ever wanting to turn these buttons back on. Also note that you could just disable 1 button, 2 buttons, or 3 buttons. You don't have to disable all 4, but I don't use them at all, never used them, so we're disabling all 4. Wow, those feel like regular buttons here, so that's pretty amazing. This is almost done. All right, I'm not even going to disassemble the back side of it because there's no point. We'll just make sure these membranes are pushed down. The membranes don't have contacts in them. Old calculators used to, the membrane itself had a contact in it, and they would actually get dirty. So yeah, look at these side buttons here. Similar concept. And you can kind of see some of the scarring I created with disassembly. So that's just something to note, that it'll be pretty obvious that you went into this unless you have a really light hand or you've done it a few times. See the clips there. I broke that clip there. That's a little piece of plastic from the clip there, but I don't think that'll have any functional, make a functional difference to this because there's a lot of clips and it's really on there tight. Okay, let's see how we did. Okay, everything feels right. Hopefully I'm not turning on the TV. I think this is infrared and not RF, but who knows. Yeah, everything feels like a regular old remote. So let's stick the batteries in there. Close it up. Yep, they both go in the same direction. A little odd at times, but they're not in a reverse direction. So yeah, I see some scarring right there. That's the scarring from when I was prying it apart. So again, if you can stay in the battery compartment, you can have less of that. I broke a little tab on the inside. Doesn't seem to make a difference. And I got a little bit of scarring right there, but I think that'll wear in just out of use. And oh, there we go, clipped in. Yeah, everything's feeling fine. Everything's clipped back together. So that's a remote. Let's go see if it works. All right, back at the TV. Let's try the side buttons out. Volume's working, so that's fantastic. Mute button, all 3 buttons on the side work. The rotator or scrolling buttons to scroll around work. I'm not going to play any content on here. I don't want to get any copyright infringements from playing someone else's movie, so that's not the point of this. Let me see. The Netflix button doesn't work. The Apple button doesn't work. Disney doesn't work. And Paramount button doesn't work. So they are 100% disabled. No more watching a show or scrolling through menus, accidentally hitting them because you rolled over on it, and then having it pop out of whatever you're watching, so you have to go hit some other buttons. They're just disabled. Only the buttons that matter are on there now. So, definitely, thanks for watching, and hope this helps somebody.